Welcome to Fluency Through Podcast by Fluent Speaking Academy.
Hey everyone. Ever wished you could just snap your fingers and poof, you're fluent?
Yeah. Like magic. Right.
Exactly. But even without magic, there are so many cool techniques that can help us all sound way more natural and confident when we speak.
Fluency is so much more than just memorizing grammar rules, isn't it?
Totally. It really is.
It's about expressing yourself easily, connecting with others, and honestly, even just having fun with the language.
It's like the difference between reciting a speech and actually telling a captivating story, right?
Yeah, obviously.
So, are you ready to unlock your inner language superstar?
I think so.
Okay, great. Let's dive into some practical tips that go way beyond those boring old textbooks.
It's funny because we always think of language learning as like this formal classroom experience.
Right. Yeah.
But the truth is, you learned your first language without ever opening a textbook.
That's true. We learn by listening, mimicking, just completely diving headfirst into communication.
Exactly. So how can we recreate that experience when we're learning a new language?
That's a good question.
Well, one incredibly effective technique is called shadowing.
Shadowing. Okay, that sounds kind of mysterious. What is that?
So imagine you're listening to a native speaker, maybe from a podcast or a show you like,
Okay.
and then you try to mimic them, like every word, their intonation, their pacing, even their pauses. It's like having a secret speaking coach guiding you.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
You're basically training your ear to pick up on those subtle nuances.
Yes. It's almost like, a spy deciphering a secret code.
I like that.
And speaking of spies, have you ever thought about how they blend in so well?
Yeah.
By just observing and adapting, right?
Yeah.
We can actually apply that same idea to language learning by becoming really good listeners.
I love that. So really tuning in, not just for the meaning, but to actually absorb the music of the language.
Yeah. How sentences are structured, the expressions, the pauses.
Yeah, it's like you're listening to a song and you appreciate how each instrument contributes to the whole thing.
Exactly. And this leads us to ear training. You have to train your ear to recognize those tiny sound distinctions.
Right. Like those, what are they called? Minimal pairs?
Exactly. Words that are different by just one sound. Being able to distinguish those is huge.
For sure.
For both clear pronunciation and comprehension. And this immersive listening can actually help rewire your brain to start thinking in the new language.
Wait, think in the language? That's next level? How is that even possible when you're so used to translating everything in your head?
It might sound tough, but it's more of a mental shift. Start small, like next time you're making coffee, try to narrate it in your head in the target language.
Ooh, that's smart. Instead of translating, we're engaging with the language more
Right.
intuitively.
Exactly. And you'd be surprised once you start thinking in the language, even in small chunks, your speech will become so much more natural.
So we're rewiring our brains and thinking in chunks?
Yeah.
Cool. But what about building our vocabulary?
Well, here's the thing. Native speakers, they don't think in isolated words. They think in ready-made phrases and sentence patterns. We call these chunks.
Okay, chunks. So instead of memorizing huge lists of words, we should focus on learning these phrases.
Yeah, think of it like learning a dance routine. You wouldn't try to learn each step separately.
Yeah, good call.
You learn the sequence as a whole. These chunks help you speak more fluently and naturally.
That's such a good analogy. It's like we have these building blocks of language and we can combine them to create all sorts of things.
Precisely. Now, we often think that fluency means speaking quickly and effortlessly. But you know what can actually make you sound more confident?
What?
Pauses.
Wait, really? Silence can be golden.
Absolutely. Strategic pauses can be so powerful. Imagine you pause before you answer a question or after you make a point. It gives you time to think.
It shows you're really considering things.
Exactly. It's like the difference between a quick text and a well-written email.
Yeah, one feels rushed and the other feels thoughtful and planned.
Right. And that pause can make a huge difference in how people receive your message, like letting music breathe.
Ah, okay. I see what you mean. But you mentioned music earlier, the music of language. What did you mean by that?
So when we speak, it's not just the words themselves,
Right.
it's how we deliver them. Our voice rises and falls, we emphasize certain parts, we create a rhythm that's intonation and stress, and it really brings our speech to life.
So we should think of speaking like singing.
Yeah. Imagine listening to someone who just speaks in a
That
monotone.
would be so boring.
Right. But when someone uses their voice expressively, it's engaging. Try this. Mimic your favorite actor or speaker.
Okay?
Pay attention to how they use their voice to convey emotion.
Oh, that's fun. Kind of like how kids learn to speak.
Exactly. Now let's talk about vocabulary. We often get stuck just memorizing words from flashcards.
Oh, yeah.
But that doesn't really help us actually use them, does it?
It's like having all these amazing tools, but not knowing how to use any of them.
Exactly. So try learning new words in context. Imagine yourself using them in real situations. Create sentences, tell stories, even have imaginary conversations.
Wow. I love that. It's like taking the words for a test drive, seeing how they work.
Yeah. The more you actively engage with a word, the more you'll remember and use it.
It's about making them real, relevant to your life.
Yeah.
It's like, that reminds me, we shouldn't be afraid to make mistakes.
Oh, mistakes are so important. They're a sign that you're pushing yourself.
Totally.
Think about it. You didn't learn to walk by following rules.
Right. You learn by falling and getting back up.
Exactly. Each mistake is a chance to learn.
And sometimes mistakes can even lead to the most fun conversations.
Right. They can break the ice, create laughter, build connections.
It's true. Sometimes the best interactions come from those moments. But ultimately, fluency isn't just about being technically perfect, is it?
No, not at all. It's about connecting with other people.
Yeah, like think about the speakers you love to listen to. They're not just saying words, they're sharing their passion, their personality.
And that energy is so contagious.
It's like the difference between reading a script and telling a story from the heart.
Exactly. And one of the best ways to really cultivate that is to find a speaking buddy.
Ooh, like a language buddy.
Yeah. Someone to practice with regularly.
It's like having a workout buddy,
Hmm.
someone to keep you accountable.
Exactly. It gives you a supportive space to experiment, get feedback, and not feel self-conscious. You could even record your conversations.
That's a great tip, like a personal coach. You can see where you need practice. So as we wrap up this part of our conversation, what's one key takeaway you want listeners to remember?
I think the most important thing is to approach language learning with a sense of playfulness and curiosity. Don't be afraid to experiment, make mistakes, and have fun. The more you enjoy the process, the better you'll do.
It's so true. When you take the pressure off and allow yourself to have fun, that's when the magic happens.
I couldn't agree more. It's like the difference between forcing yourself to practice and just losing yourself in the music. One feels like work, the other feels like joy.
And that joy is what makes us come back for more. It's about finding that spark.
Exactly. And even small changes can make a big difference in how you sound and how confident you feel.
Absolutely. Consistent effort, even in small doses, can lead to amazing results.
So if you're feeling overwhelmed, just pick one of these tips and try it today.
So for all our listeners out there ready to take their language skills to the next level, what's one final thought you'd leave them with?
What if, instead of viewing language learning as a chore, we thought of it as a playground?
A playground.
Yeah. A space to experiment, play with sounds, express yourself without being judged. What if we just embraced the journey and allowed ourselves to enjoy it?
That's a beautiful way to think about it. It's like rediscovering that childlike wonder we all had.
It is.
So to everyone listening, step onto that playground, embrace the challenge, and remember, the most fluent speaker is often the one having the most fun.
I love that. Keep exploring, keep practicing, and keep playing with language.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, that pause can really change how your message comes across. It's like letting the music breathe.
Exactly.
But you mentioned music earlier, the music of language. I didn't quite catch what you meant by that.
Oh, yeah. So when we speak, it's not just about the words, right?
Uh-huh.
It's about how we say them. Our voice goes up and down. We emphasize certain parts, create a rhythm that's intonation and stress. It makes our speech come alive.
So, we should think about speaking like singing. paying attention to the melody.
That's a great way to put it. Think about someone speaking in a monotone.
Ah, so boring.
Right. But when someone uses their voice expressively, it's captivating. Try mimicking your favorite actor or speaker.
Oh, okay.
Pay attention to how they use their voice to show emotion. That's a fun exercise.
Yeah.
It's kind of like how kids learn, right?
Exactly. They're not just learning words, they're learning how to use their voice to express themselves.
That's so cool.
Now, let's shift gears to vocabulary. We often get stuck memorizing words from flashcards.
Yeah, that's the go-to.
But it doesn't really help us use them naturally, does it?
It's like, I have all these tools, but no idea how to use them.
Exactly. So instead of just memorizing definitions, try learning new words in context. Imagine yourself using them. Create sentences, tell stories, have imaginary conversations even.
Ooh, I like that. It's like taking the words out for a spin.
Yeah, the more you engage with a word, the more you'll remember it and use it correctly.
It's about making those words come to life, making them relevant. And that reminds me, we shouldn't be afraid of making mistakes.
Oh, for sure. Mistakes are inevitable. Actually, they're a sign you're pushing yourself.
Absolutely.
You didn't learn to walk by following a rule book.
Nope. You learn by falling and getting back up.
Exactly. Each mistake is a chance to adjust and learn something new.
And you know, sometimes those mistakes lead to the most interesting conversations.
Right. They can break the ice, make people laugh, help you connect with others.
That's so true. Sometimes the best moments come from those little stumbles. But in the end, fluency isn't just about being perfect, is it?
It's not about perfection. It's about connecting with people on a human level.
Exactly. Think about those speakers you love to listen to. They're not just saying words, they're sharing their passion, their personality.
Yeah. And that energy is contagious.
It's the difference between reading a script and telling a story from your heart.
Exactly. And one of the best ways to cultivate that genuine engagement is to find a speaking buddy.
Oh, like a language partner?
Yeah. Someone you can practice with regularly.
It's like a workout buddy, somebody to keep you motivated.
Exactly. It gives you a space to experiment, make mistakes, get feedback without feeling judged. You can even record your conversations and listen back later.
That's a great idea, like having your own coach. You can see where you need to focus.
So as we wrap up this part of our conversation, what's one key takeaway for our listeners?
I think it's all about approaching language learning with that playfulness, that curiosity. Don't be afraid to experiment, make mistakes, have fun with it. The more you enjoy it, the better you'll do.
It's like when you take the pressure off and let yourself have fun, that's when the real learning happens.
Couldn't agree more. It's like forcing yourself to practice versus just losing yourself in the music.
Yeah. One feels like a chore, the other is pure joy.
Exactly. And it's that joy that makes you want to keep coming back.
It's about finding that spark.
It really is. And you know, it's amazing how even small changes can make a difference in how you sound, how confident you feel.
Absolutely. Like you said before, consistency is key. Even small steps can lead to big results over time.
Right. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, just pick one thing, just one tip, and try it out today. You might surprise yourself. So for everyone listening, ready to level up their language skills, what's one final thought you want to leave them with?
What if, instead of seeing it as a chore, we thought of language learning as a playground?
A playground.
Yeah. Like a place to experiment, play with sounds, express yourself, without worrying about judgment. What if we embraced the whole journey, the ups and downs, and just enjoyed the ride?
That's a beautiful way to look at it. It's like rediscovering that childlike wonder we all had when we were first learning to talk.
Exactly.
So to everyone listening, go step onto that playground, embrace the challenge, and remember, the most fluent speaker is often the one having the most fun.
So true. Keep exploring, keep practicing, and most importantly, keep playing with language.
I love that. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into speaking like a pro.
It's been fun.
We'll see you next time.